Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick and I am joined by a special guest in Gareth. How are you, mate?
I'm still in shock.
Still in shock?
Still in shock.
In a good way or a bad way?
A good way. A good way. Things are looking up.
Things are looking up. We're all very excited about this kind of stuff. For those of you who aren't aware, Gareth recorded some videos with me a little while back. He's another local Xwing player in my meta. And I've got him here to talk about the first initial release of the Rebel content for Xwing 2nd Edition, which just looks awesome. We have here on the screen, we have the Xwing, the Ywing, the Shrouds, which is still the same thing, and the conversion kit. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. This is going to take a little while, so let's go through everything right here. So first up, we have this spread of thingy goodies right here, which is some of the contents you get in the conversion kit. So this is like the replacement for what you already had from the version 1 game. All of these parts here are better detailed in the spread below, so we'll talk about them in a tick. But we do have a few cards poking out here that we can sort of see. Let's start with Expert Handling, because this is a very interesting card, because we know that this is just all flavor text here, so that's not any rules text, but we have the barrel roll. And as an EPT, we're not too sure whether it has any requirements, but we have a pretty good indication based on what it's coming out on, which is the Ywing pack.
Yeah, based on other cards as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we have Tactical Officer, which says if you have a red coordinate, you can turn it white. And what we're theorising here is Expert Handling says if you have a red barrel roll, you turn it white. Because it comes with the Ywing, and the Ywing has a red barrel roll. Makes perfect sense.
No doubt there'll be a boost equivalent as well.
Yeah, maybe even other actions. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We don't know all the details for that yet. We have Concussion Missile, which was revealed in the Scum article we talked about before. This is a missile, fires range 2 to 3. 3 red dice out of your forward arc. It has 3 charges. Attack, target, lock, spend 1 charge. After this attack hits, each ship at range 0 to 1 of the defender exposes one of its damage cards. That is old speak for every ship at range 1 of the defender flips a face-down damage card face up. Makes perfect sense.
Not bad. Not bad.
It's kind of like Assault Missile, now that I think about it. It just occurred to me there.
Yeah, 3 charges is pretty good.
Yeah, it's like extra munitions is now baked into this.
Yep.
In a kind of weird way. And we're probably not going to see extra munitions or guidance ships, so they're trying to balance these out as is, so they're giving you a few shots, as it turns out.
If you can find some way to do splash damage using a second ship,
yep, for sure.
Fantastic.
Could do a lot of really cool damage. We also have the Ion Cannon Tart, which is the first turreted weapon we have revealed. This is a turret, fires with 3 red dice, range 1 to 2. It's worth noting that in 2nd edition of the game, turrets get range bonuses. So that's 4 red dice at range 1.
Cannons get range bonuses. Cannons as well.
I didn't know that. Awesome. Cool.
It's because they're big guns that shoot forward.
As they should. I mean, a lot of these things, and again, we're still getting smattering of information from various interviews and all that kind of stuff. Attack. If this attack hits, spend 1 of your hit or crits to make the defender suffer 1 hit. All remaining hits and crits inflict ion tokens. So what this is, instead of you just get a hit and an ion token, which is really good if you only ever got through 1 hit, it was one of the big upsides of taking Ion Cannon Turret. It's now all the overflow damage turns into ion tokens, which is really good. Yeah. It means you can potentially get a lot more, or you get a lot less value if you can only manage to get 1 hit across.
Range 1, you'll be rolling 4 dice and could ion a large ship.
That's it. Oh, by the way, the ion with the new ships is you takes 1 ion token to ionize a small ship, 2 to ionize a medium ship, and 3 to ionize a large ship. So having this kind of variable nature of how many ion tokens you can deliver with these weapons is going to be very important.
It's also worth noting ion is now a 1 blue maneuver, not 1 white.
Yes, and you can only take a focus after you execute it.
Yes.
Yes, you can't take any of your other white or red maneuvers. The whole point of it making it blue was FFG found that stress and ion were too powerful when comboed together, so they gave you an out, I guess they'd say. We also have Chewbacca, which has not yet been revealed.
About which we know nothing.
No, not just yet, but we'll see that soon enough, hopefully. We also have a bunch of tokens and stuff. Here's a medium base with Bodhi Rook. That is for the Ywing. Ywings are now on medium bases, and a bunch of tokens, and we noticed something very interesting when looking at this. We have a cloak token. We theorised must be for cloaking device, because FFG have stated you get all the upgrade cards you can take on these ships from the get-go. They're not forcing you to buy out of faction in order to get certain cards. And because some Rebel ships do have the illicit slot in Sabine's TIE Fighter and the Falcon or YT-2400, they've given us the cloak token because we're able to take cloaking device.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense.
We also have the calculates token,
which apparently, and I just learned this today, is for droid pilots. The whole idea is it's kind of like a soft focus, but there are ways to share it around. The IGs, for example, have ways of sharing around the calculate tokens.
It works like the force tokens. You turn one dice rather than all of them.
Yes, and there are apparently ways of stacking up and that kind of stuff. So droid pilots in the Rebellion, we're thinking AP5, Weibo, Chopper, yep. I can't think of any other ones, but I'm sure there'll be other ones, and obviously they're adding more pilots in, so that will be really cool. But in any case, let's have a look at these new pilots. We have Wedge, which is exactly the same as his old ability, except he says the defender rolls one fewer dice instead of reduce the agility by one, which is actually better.
Means it will affect obstacles, the dice you get from obstruction, and it will affect the dice you get from range. Yeah,
if you're fighting against a 0 agility ship at range 3, they still lose that dice. The old Wedge would not have done that. We have Ezra Bridger on Sabine's TIE Fighter. Awesome. Okay, cool. Why not? He's very interesting because he uses his force ability to do what he always did.
But better because it applies to both. It gets both of the Ezra abilities. Gets the defense and offensive abilities.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Had one of those at a time.
Ah, cool. That's awesome. Nice.
And of course, we can see from the little triangle beside the one on the force tokens that he regenerates that.
Oh,
that's what that triangle means.
Really? How does that work? How does he?
He receives a force token at the end of every turn.
Oh, okay.
So theoretically,
can you go over the threshold? Can you go?
You can only have your maximum number because you don't spend them. You flip them.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes perfect sense.
But it is theoretically possible that you could have a shield symbol, or with that. Yes, diamond they referred to it as in the
with
video,
automatic regen,
which regenerates every turn.
That's potentially very dangerous territory, but I guess if the ship was balanced, if there was a ship that could do that, yeah, why not?
But that is how the language of the card would work.
Yeah, exactly. We also have Jake Farrell, which is a weird kind of reverse version of what he used to do. The old Jake Farrell used to execute boosts and barrel rolls after he got focus tokens. This guy now gives focus tokens to friendly ships after he does a boost or barrel roll.
Either himself, range 0.
Yeah, and it seems to be really brought into line with what the Rebellion wants to do. It wants to be about helping your friendly dudes out, which makes a lot of sense. Also, we have the solid line we can just make out here, and plus some baked-in text for the Ywing. Theorising, Gareth.
That could be anything.
I'm going to guess auto thrusters. I'm going to guess A-Wings are going to have auto thrusters baked in just like TIE Interceptors.
I'm wondering if it's some kind of boost, some kind of bonus when performing a boost, because the A-Wing is a dedicated interceptor.
It's a Mosquito, yeah.
It's a sports car. It's the fastest thing in space.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that for sure.
It's a hot rod.
It'll be something like that anyway. 10 num, when you defend or perform an attack, no idea. His old card used to say you cannot have one of your criticals cancelled during your attacks. So this is completely up in the air.
Yeah, could be absolutely anything.
Yeah, no idea there. Oh, by the way, it's worth mentioning as well, the action bars are pretty much what we expect. The TIE Fighter has not changed. The Xwing has gained the barrel roll. The A-Wing
presumably had boost and barrel roll.
Probably the same things it used to have, yeah. The Y-Wings we'll talk about in a tick. And the B-Wing has focus to red barrel roll, target, and a regular barrel roll by itself. And this means, in case you guys weren't aware, it's basically a quasi-push the limits. Baked into a lot of different kinds of ships where you can take the stress token to take this particular extra action, but you can't just do any action on the action bar like you used to be able to do. It's a very restrained push the limits that's baked into different kinds of ships.
And I really like this because one of the most dangerous things about the old push the limit was focus target lock.
Yep. Oh, just the scope of having it on any ship, and any design that they did from that point on had to take that into account. It was a very dangerous thing to design. Wave 2 in general was very dangerous for the game, if you think about it, with VI and this and that and Fat Han and all that kind of stuff.
Probably sounded like a great idea at the time.
Yeah, oh, it was. I mean, with the Intercept, it was fantastic. But yeah, obviously, with newer ship designs, this makes a lot more sense. Here is the spread for some of the things we get in the Ywing pack. It is worth noting that in some of the demos that have been played, yes, we have already had the full Ywing stats revealed. It has pretty much the same stuff that it used to have. 2 red dice for the primary attack, fires forward, 1 agility, 6 hull, and 2 shields. Now, it used to have 5 and 3.
5
yeah.
That has been discussed on videos.
Yep.
And the developers have said that is because they want criticals to become more of a thing.
Yes. And from what we can tell as well, criticals have been somewhat nerfed here and there, like blinded paths, less crippling, blah, blah, blah. There's less really crippling criticals, but they want to have more criticals occur during the game on average.
So they'll have an effect on the game, but not a devastating one.
Exactly right. And that's why we see, in general, a higher hull to shield ratio. The action bar on the Ywing is focus target lock, red barrel roll, and red reload.
I like that red reload. I think using the Y-Wings as a missile carrier is going to be quite a nice option with the reload.
Absolutely. And with first edition, reload always struck me as a bit problematic because it's something that a lot of ships should have, but there's also the massive issue of just tacking on reload to some ships just would have been dumb. Just putting reload on the old Y-Wing would have made it way too powerful. And being able to make some actions reds really lets them sort of curtail and just really tinker the actions so they're really well balanced. And yeah, seeing red reload, I think most reload actions are going to be red, but like on the Star Wing, it'll be white, for example.
Yeah, that's a... with the title, maybe.
Oh, yes, like the OS1 Arsenal loadout, that kind of thing. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, we will talk about that when the Starwing finally gets revealed. Let's talk about some of these pilots, though. Nora Wexley on the Y-Wing, finally, where she belongs.
Snap smother.
Absolutely. While you defend, if there is an enemy ship at range 0 to 1, add 1. Evade result to your dice results. Now, this is very interesting, because the developers specifically told us that they were moving away from this kind of thing, adding results.
Yeah, that's a big step up from...
Yeah, I will say, though, they've only got 1 green dice. So changing a result to an evade would be pretty inconsequential. And even adding 1 on top of the 1 dice you have, it's not a huge buff. But I think with ships with more green dice, they are specifically moving away from that. Evade tokens now change a result. They do not add a result, which is massive, which is good.
Makes them far more valuable on high agility ships.
By the looks of it, from what we can see on Nora's card, there is no baked-in extra details. In fact, no, I tell a lie. Of course, we've seen this before on the old Grey Squadron and Gold Squadron that we saw in the demos. There are no baked-in stats for the Y-Wing. There's no BTLA4 reshot, that kind of stuff, but there is a card that we'll talk about in a second that does that. Dutch Vander, after you perform a target lock, you may choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 3. That ship may acquire a target lock, something that ship. Expert handling, and this is why that we theorize expert handling has a red barrel roll icon here, because this comes with the Y-Wing, which has a red barrel roll icon, which means expert handling just upgrades the red barrel roll to a white barrel roll. We also know that the Y-Wing comes with the gunner crew type, which is really cool. This is veteran tail gunner. After you perform a primary attack, you may perform a bonus turret attack using a turret you did not already attack from this round, which implies that maybe there's weird times where you can attack with turrets.
Other ways to get turret attacks?
Yeah, maybe. But in any case, this is essentially what BTLA4 does, but better, because you don't have to lock it forward. However, turrets do have to lock to a quadrant now, so it still kind of works the same way, sort of. Seems really cool. Matches what the veteran tail gunner was doing from the Scum pack. I like these veteran gunners a lot. Yeah, they're going to be very powerful.
Gives so many options. I believe there's a tail gunner.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of reminds me of the old Ghost title where you can take the extra attack. But it is worth noting that, yes, turrets have got a big nerf. You have to lock in the quadrant. It's not always the most easy thing. All the turrets you can take on the Y-Wing give you the rotate turret action. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like the power level of this is too crazy or through the roof. And again, just reminding you guys that we're speculating based on what we know. We don't really understand the full implications of the power level of version 2 just yet. We're still learning that kind of stuff. So it is worth noting that, yes, while that looks powerful, while that would be stupid powerful in the first edition of the game, probably not so much in second edition.
We can also see here confirmation that the Ywing will have an astromech slot.
Yes, we can. Oh, yes, of course, because of the
pre-builds.
The pre-build list. That's very... Oh, actually, this is very interesting, because now we can see that it comes with a turret, a gunner, dude, an astromech, and EPT, of course. Oh, and torpedo, of course.
Oh, of course. EPT's on Y-Wings?
Oh,
You're saying, of course?
Oh, that's a good point.
This is great news.
Well, it should have... Okay. I said this before, I say this again. A lot of these designs that FFG have chosen to do with these ships are things that would happen if they design the ship now. I always have asserted that if the Y-Wing was designed in the modern era of version 1 Xwing, it would have gotten EPT slots. We know from the demo videos we've seen that they can just take bombs, so it doesn't look like you need a bomb loadout card. We just have no confirmation based on what we can see here.
In this case, that's a seismic bomb. And we know what that does.
Yes, it latches on to nearby obstacles and then deals damage to everything at range 1 of that obstacle, which is just like the seismic charges from episode 2.
Absolutely.
Where Jango Fett drops it, it hits the rock, it goes... and then everything explodes. Now, let's move on to the Xwing, because yes, we have so much to talk about here. The Xwing we've seen flown in several demo videos. We've seen it being unboxed, so we actually know every single card that comes in this pack. Yes, we know the Sfoils open. It just looks so cool. There are separate paint jobs for the core set and the expansion version. This is the expansion version. The core set comes with Luke's Red 5 Xwing, which has the 5 stripes going down the side rather than just the one solid one.
It looks so good.
It does look so good, doesn't it? And the Ywing got a resculpt as well. In fact,
yes,
before we jump
pretty.
forward, it has... the turret on top, like physically moulded in. It's not a squishy kind of tapered shape anymore because they're using higher grade plastic or whatever.
It really shows how much they've learned in model design since the first wave.
Yeah, the manufacturing techniques and being able to maybe afford to have access to better equipment, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it really does show. 5 years makes a hell of a difference, especially when you happen to be managing the most successful tabletop game in the world. And yes, here we have the Xwing. Looks so cool.
The old Warhorse.
The old Warhorse. First thing to note, it has Talon rolls on the dial as is. It's kind of better and worse than the fixed Xwing from first edition. The
modifications to the dial from the first edition fix have been baked in.
Yeah, pretty much. In the first edition, when the Sfoils are open, you can activate a Talon roll when you reveal a 3 hard, which is actually better than just having Talon rolls.
You could choose to Talon roll when you revealed.
Yeah, which actually, yeah.
So if you put it on a PS11 wedge, you could waited to see where everybody was before you decided what direction you wanted to face.
Yeah, and basically, the impression I get, the reason they did that is because there's no other way to change the dial in the first game.
Yeah.
If they could just change the dial, if they could just print this dial and give you a ton of dial and say, this is the new Xwing dial, here, just use this, but that's too confusing. This is one of the big benefits of a second edition. They can just change the core elements. And it's no truer when we see stuff like this.
The 2 bank from the closed Sfoils has also been... The 2 bank green when you were closed with version 1 is now baked in as well, so it's always blue.
That's right. It used to be white, but green when the Sfoils were closed.
Yes, correct.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Obviously, yes, that Talon roll is slightly technically nerfed, but look, that's pretty much what they always wanted anyway. We have some upgrade cards here. Ion torpedoes. 4 red dice firing at the front. Range 2 to 3. 2 charges. Attack target lock. Spend a charge. If this attack hits, spend 1 hit or crit result to cause the defender to suffer 1 damage. All remaining hits and crits inflict ion tokens instead of damage. And this is exactly the same as Ion Turret. Pure and simple. It's a more powerful attack. You can only use it twice, but it is just essentially the same thing. Again, we have that overflow effect of damage turning it into ion. Really good where variable ion is going to matter. Against different ship sizes, small, medium, large, obviously you need more ion tokens. So yeah, really cool.
And of course it can ion a large ship.
Absolutely, it can do it in one shot. It's harder, but it can do it. I like that.
They seem to be balancing the ion so that it can ion a large ship.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not the case with ion pulse missiles, which we haven't seen yet. Ion pulse missiles just always used to give you 2 ion. I have a feeling it's going to be similar to this, but we'll see. We don't know. We'll see. We also have Selfless, which at first glance looks like selflessness.
Yeah.
Same image and almost the same word, but it's actually the text from Draw Their Fire. While another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends, before the neutralise result step, if you are in the attack arc, you may suffer 1 critical damage to cancel 1 critical damage. A slight nerf to Draw Their Fire, you have to be inside their arc. But yeah, it's got Biggs written all over this, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll come to Biggs.
Absolutely,
we will get to Biggs.
Yeah, so obviously they still want to have these kind of effects in the game, but they just want to make them a little bit less powerful because with Biggs and Lowrick and all that kind of stuff, it got a little bit out of hand in first edition. First up, we have a couple of generic X-Wing pilots with Initiative 2 and 3. We don't know if the Cavern Angel Zealots with Initiative 1 are going to be put in the game. We'll have that revealed when we get a proper spoiler article for Swords Renegades for version 2.
Of course, Swords Renegades is coming out with V2 stuff. So
oh yeah, it's worth noting that in that pack is going to be all the content for 2nd and 1st edition, which is just awesome. In the pack we have Biggs Darklighter. While another friendly ship at range 0 to 1 defends before the neutralise result step, if you are in the attacker's arc, you may suffer 1 damage or crit damage to cancel 1 matching result. That's just selfless with a bit more versatility. Yeah.
This is a really nice balance for Biggs.
Absolutely, I agree. The idea that you can shirk off damage onto other ships. I mean, they've explored this kind of thing before to not much success before. Prince Gisor in the 1st edition shirked off damage to his friendlies, which was pretty terrible. He doesn't see any play, even post-fix. No. And I like the idea that you have one ship that can potentially do this and take selfless, and then you have the option of doing up to 2 results. I mean, obviously 2 crits are not ideal, but it could be very powerful in certain scenarios.
You can sink them onto your shields for the first 2.
Yeah, for sure. And if Biggs is cheap enough, you could just make him kind of the sacrificial lamb and make your other ships really powerful.
There's no mention of maximum damage, so you could, if you've got 1 hull left, you can just take 2 damage off somebody, and a ship remains in place until the end of the initiative phase.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So
Biggs dies, as far as we're aware, he can continue soaking damage.
That sounds disgusting. That sounds like it's abusable. Yeah, we'll see how the rules pan out, but that is... Oh, I hope we don't get another abusable Biggs. I really hope we don't get another abusable Biggs. Also in the pack, we have Garvin Dre's Initiative 4. After you spend a focus token, you may choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 3. That ship gains 1 focus token. It's exactly the same function as the old Garvin Dre's, except the old one says you specifically move that focus token to another ship, which was a little bit vague, and some of the interactions with that was not clear.
Yes, it's also longer range. The old version was range 1 to 2.
Correct. Yeah, just getting rid of his token and then making that ship gain a token is a lot cleaner and makes the interaction with other cards make a lot of sense. I get the feeling they really overhauled the editing with this. Like, they really asked themselves some serious questions, which is one of my biggest criticisms of FFG when designing Xwing stuff. So, really good to see that.
They seem to be trying to use consistent phrasing.
Yes, which is really, really important in wargaming. The pack also comes with Wedge Antilles, which we've already covered. We also have a copy of Thane Kyrell, which was only a pilot on the Arc 170 previously. While you perform an attack, you may spend 1 focus, hit, or crit result to look at the defender's face-down damage card, choose 1, and expose it.
That's very different than he was before. Very
different indeed. It's like Super Saboteur. That's really good, because Saboteur does a card, you just choose one, but you don't get to see what the effects are. Again, FFG are really trying to push crits. And even though that, yes, crits seem to be a little bit less powerful overall, This is a great thing. I mean, this is a good reason why we don't have Blinded Pilot as powerful as it used to be. Because this would be insane in a meta with Blinded Pilot.
Yes, absolutely.
We also did have some other pilots from different packs. Revealed in the initial article that spoiled Xwing version 2, we have this Luke Skywalker. In fact, we have an entire build here from this article. Luke Skywalker is the first chip that we can see that has force powers, apart from Ezra Bridger and Darth Vader, but this was the initial ship that was spoiled with it.
This is the canon episode 4 Luke with
R2 protons and use the Force, Luke, and just don't use a targeting computer.
This is what Deadeye was meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, Deadeye kind of did work like this in its original form, but then it got put on large base ships and it got abused and dumb stuff happened. Anyway, Luke is Initiative 5. After you become the Defender, before dice are rolled, you may recover 1 Force.
That's amazing.
That's really good. His Force tokens are at a threshold of 2. They have that little recover triangle thingamajig as well.
So he regains 1 every turn, and 1 every time he gets shot at.
Which is really, really good. So I suppose if there is any kind of upgrade that does give you some kind of benefit from using multiple Force tokens, that's going to be really good. But Force tokens can also be used to modify your dice.
Yes, they act like
it's one focus.
Yes, they're like a mini focus. They could change 1 die result.
Yeah, and considering you always have those tokens, that's really good. They don't rinse off the end of turn. Yeah.
That's very similar to Luke's original ability.
Yeah. Oh, it is too. That's a very, very good point. Huh, that's awesome. We also have R2-D2. We'll quickly talk about this before we go to the other pilots. After you reveal your dial, you may spend 1 energy on R2. He has 3. And gain 1 disarm token to recover 1 shield. A very, very heavily curtailed version of the original R2. Seems fair.
Still pretty good.
Oh, still very good, I reckon.
Still pretty good. You can't shoot if you've done it.
Yep.
Which is
good.
Good.
You think about that time, you think about back to A New Hope, when Luke is talking to R2, like, quick, fix the cannons. And Luke isn't firing his cannons when R2 is doing with that.
No.
So it makes perfect sense. Proton torpedoes, another torpedo card. Awesome, tons of those today. 4 red dice in the forward firing arc, range 2 to 3. 2 charges. Attack target lock, spend a charge, change 1 hit result to a crit result. Pretty much what the old proton torpedoes did, except you can do it twice. The old one just discarded the card, except this time you get rid of charges. By the way, spending charges is basically like the new discard, but you just have a higher threshold of how many times you can do it.
Yeah, it bakes in extra munitions for most ships.
Yeah, pretty much. And Instinctive Aim, the new Deadeye. While you perform a special attack, which is proton torpedoes in this case, you may spend a Force to ignore the focus or target lock requirement. So this upgrade, is that an EPT or is this a Force-specific upgrade?
I believe, based on some of the discussions with the designers, that this is a Force-specific upgrade.
Cool. So, what, Luke,
there will be
Vader?
There will be Force powers, and there were references that they will replace EPTs for Force-sensitive characters.
Oh.
So you won't have both on the same ship. You'll have one or the other.
That seems like a pretty big downside, but then again, we don't know how good the EPTs are.
No.
Blah, 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 that whole discussion.
And Force powers look so good.
They do look really good. I'll talk about another Force power when we do the Imperial video that was revealed on Vader in one of the demos. But for the time being, I
will be wanting sense on Luke.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We'll talk about that a bit more later on. Looks absolutely awesome. We also had revealed in one of the demo videos, Jack Porkins Initiative 4. After you receive a stress token, you may roll 1 attack die to remove it. On a hit result, suffer 1 hit. It's the old Jack Porkins, just worded better.
Not much more to say here, nothing else.
Nah, it was never really a great ability to begin with. I can't see it being very powerful right now, but then again, he might be costed in such a way that makes it competitive. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll see. We have none of the costs available for this.
Again, we say this over and over again. Power level is very difficult to judge when we don't have costs and slots and all that kind of stuff. So more on that later. But we also had reveal Edrio 2 Tubes. Now, Edrio 2 Tubes is one of the Xwing pilots from the Swords Renegades pack, and I'm pretty convinced, based on what we can see here, This is going to be a carbon copy of what we see as the first edition Edrio 2 Tubes pilot card as well.
Oh, yes.
Before you activate, if you are focused, you may perform an action. And the reason I say that is because he combos perfectly with benthic 2 Tubes on the Ywing, which does do the exact same thing that he does in first edition, which is after you perform a focus action, you may transfer one of your focus tokens to a friendly ship at range 1 to 2. Yeah, they work together. That's the whole point. You transfer that token to Edrio, and then as soon as he activates, he can perform an action.
Edrio 2 Tubes performs the action before you activate, which is the same time as you flip the Sfoils card.
Which means you get to choose.
You can choose. Yeah. So you can boost, you can receive an action, a focus from benthic, boost using the closed Sfoils,
and then flip it. Or flip it, and then boost.
Yes.
Really good interaction.
Or you can do the focus push to a boost.
Yes.
Double focus, boost, then get your...
And then do a blue maneuver to remove the stress, and then do another action. Guys, if you want to see that in action, go and watch the Team Covenant demo, because Alex Davies abuses the hell out of that.
It's wonderful.
It is absolutely wonderful.
So this is confirmed for Swords Renegades.
Yes, and this was one of the few pilots we had left for that first edition article. So if you guys still were interested in that first edition pack, yes, this is going to be the last Xwing. So for the sake of that article, that's pretty much the last thing. What we're missing is one of the Ewings, which we have no idea what it is, and Magvayaro. They're the two things we haven't seen now. Apart from that, we have all the Xwings. Still, for the sake of first edition, I'm very hyped for that pack.
Oh, yes.
I'm actually thinking of picking up just so I can start playing Rebel, and just so I have version 2 content to start sort of transitioning into it. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've already started flying X-Wings to get ready for that pack coming out.
Absolutely.
They're so much fun.
It is worth noting, 2 Tubes, Jack Porkins and Luke Skywalker do not come in the X-Wing expansion pack. Jack Porkins and Luke will come in the core set, and 2 Tubes will come in Swords Renegades, just so you guys are aware of that.
Yeah.
And there's no need to wait for an updated version of Swords Renegades. It already has all the second edition content in it. Also, yes, we do have this new configuration card, a new updated version of the servo motor Sfoils, which is good. It's been heavily simplified. We no longer have the Talon roll claws on the open side, and the 2 banks are now green, or would be blue in this case, on the closed side.
The open side basically just has the second clause. Before you activate, you may flip this card.
Exactly right. It's basically just, this is the X-Wing in its natural habitat.
Indeed.
To quote David Attenborough. And the closed side gives you the boost action as well as the focus to red boost action. It's a harder implementation of primary attack value. It means if you get a bonus or something, I mean, I don't think it makes a difference mathematically, but they are making a point of wording it 1 fewer or 1 greater amount of dice as a rule, because that obviously does play around with range bonuses.
They're making things consistent.
Absolutely. I love it, I love it, I love it. Also, one last thing to note, I just keep thinking of with all these random things. The X-Wing is now referred to as the T65 X-Wing consistently across all its cards and its ship cards, its pilot cards. And yeah, that's everything we have revealed that is Rebel specific right now. Looks really good.
It looks really good.
I'm actually considering very seriously playing Rebel now. I think if there's absolutely no scum stuff in Wave 14, I'm going to pick up Swords Renegades. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and I will catch you later.
Goodbye.